Hello guys, I'm Cecily and I'm now a single mother to a beautiful son. My story will sound tragic in the beginning, but I assure you that I got justice in the end. This story is about my husband Ethan, my mother-in-law Marie, and my grandfather-in-law Ace. All are fake names because they belong to a highly wealthy family who will be easily recognized. I'm sorry for hiding our names. I really mean no harm. I always thought that Ethan and I were in love, and for the 3 years we dated in college, I thought that he was my soulmate. I must say that he was a gentleman and did everything right. Naturally, I was madly in love and married him after he proposed. Everyone was happy except his mother, Marie, who simply couldn't stand me. Even before we got married, she made comments like, "You will never be good enough for my son. I know for a fact that he is not happy with you." "You don't know what you're talking about, Marie. Ethan loves me, and that's why he's marrying me, you know." "Oh, please don't try to tell me what he's doing. I know my son well. He will never be happy with a low-class girl like you. He hates cheap things, and you are one of them. Your marriage won't last, I know it. Believe me, I will celebrate when he divorces you." I knew Marie had a problem with me because I wasn't super rich like them. Speaking of them, let me tell you that only Marie's father, Ace, was rich. He was the family patriarch and paid everyone to have good lives. No one else had much of their own. Ethan did work, but his salary wasn't enough for him to have a luxurious life. It was Ace's extra allowance that let him live like a king. I came from a struggling family and only made it big because I worked hard to get a good job. I wasn't a gold digger, though. I very much preferred a simple lifestyle, even when Ethan and Marie tried to make me live like them. It simply wasn't me. I should have known that our differences would lead to our marriage ending one day. I was just stupid not to realize that. I believed that my husband loved me and he would make me a happy woman. After living a life full of struggles, Ethan's care really got to me. He did his best to make sure I had a good life and even went out of his way to keep me happy. Ace was also an amazing grandfather to me and actually made me call him Grandpa. He was fond of me from the very first day he met me. So Marie's hatred of me never caused trouble in our marriage. Ace and Ethan were always there to stand up for me. Guys, I really didn't know how horrible things would turn out for me. Ethan pushed for me to have a child because he wanted to have a big family. I really wanted him to be happy, so I agreed. I even quit my job at his insistence because he wanted me to stay and take care of our child. Initially, I was hesitant, but the moment I found out I was pregnant, I really wanted to do the best for my son. I must say that my son is the best thing that came out of my marriage. I still remember how happy I was when I held him in my arms. I was so excited to take him home and start our new life together, but I didn't know that life would change for the worse. The moment I stepped through the doors of my house, my son was taken away from me by Marie. I was just out of the hospital and not doing very well, so this sudden turn of events really confused me. I was just going to ask what was going on when I saw Ethan taking 3 suitcases from his staff and throwing them at me. They hurt because they were packed. I was so confused and said, "What is going on? What are you doing?" "What do you think we're doing, Cecily? Your time is up. You need to leave the house." "Wait, what? What are you talking about? Ethan, what is going on?" "We're kicking you out and I'll be divorcing you very soon. That's what's going on, Cecily. Did you really expect me to put you on a pedestal and worship you for the rest of my life?" "What are you saying, Ethan? Why are you being so cruel? What's happening? Why are you doing this?" "You have served your purpose. We don't need you anymore. So you need to take your trash and get out." "You have to be kidding me right now, Marie. You can't do this to me. Ethan, why are you doing this? What's going on?" "Didn't you hear my mother, Cecily? You already gave birth to my baby so that I can have an heir. I don't have any use for you anymore. I will be divorcing you the first chance I get. I felt like I was in a horror movie. My own husband was being so cold towards me that I hardly recognized the man anymore. I was shaking with anxiety and was crying due to what my husband and mother-in-law said. My hormones were still all over the place. I didn't know what to say or do. So all I could do was cry and look in horror as my mother-in-law said, "Now I have had the housekeeper pack your clothes so that you won't spoil the house anymore with your unwanted presence. My sweet little grandson will grow up with the best care and soon forget about his cheap mother too." "That is impossible. I will never leave my son behind. You want me out of your lives? I will go away. I don't want to be somewhere where I'm not even loved." "By all means, Cecily, go ahead and leave. Who said we want you to stay? We're telling you to leave, not that you have an option." My heart was still a mess from Ethan's betrayal. I knew that Marie never liked me as much. I also found it a red flag that she had started to show interest in me after I got pregnant. What I simply couldn't understand was why my own husband was acting this way. I had a hard time wrapping my head around the idea that my husband didn't love me. With tears in my eyes, I looked at Ethan and said, "How can you be so cold to me, Ethan? Don't you feel nothing in kicking the mother of your child out of your house?" "My child won't even need a mother anymore. Like Mom said, we have plenty of staff around the house who will help my son grow up to be like me." "Even you want to take our son away from me. Do you think our son will have a great life being away from his own mom? Our son needs his mom, Ethan." Ethan simply laughed at me like I just told him a joke. My heart was already breaking in my chest and I stood there frozen. The man who I thought was the love of my life was slowly getting lost. He was being replaced by an absolute monster who cared nothing about me or our child. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and hearing when Ethan stopped laughing and said, "What makes you think my son needs you? He's just a newborn who doesn't even know his own mom. We can get plenty of wet nurses and nannies who will make sure my son grows up well." "My son is right. My grandson won't be in need of anything. You are the last person who's fit to raise him anyway. You are a low-class woman who doesn't even know how to dress yourself properly. If I leave my grandson in your care, he will turn out to be a loser." "Oh God, yes, I almost forgot what an embarrassment you were to me all these years. I would rather die than have my son go through those humiliating experiences like me." Ethan said those words with great distaste. It was like my husband was regretting all the years he spent married to me. His words conveyed that annoyance as well. I was so shaken that I didn't know what to say anymore. But I knew that I had to hear those words and finally see Ethan for who he was. And I needed to know just how much of a horrible person he is. I said through tears, "What? Did I humiliate and embarrass you? But how?" "How? Do you want to know how you embarrassed and humiliated me? Just look at you, Cecily. You belong to a low-class family and used to work a 9-to-5 job like some broke woman. You are not suited for an upper-class family like ours. Mom tried so hard to teach you our ways, but you didn't even want to learn anything." "Wait, so you wanted me to become a rich snob? If I was such an embarrassment to you, why did you even fall in love with me?" "Who said I fell in love with you, Cecily? You were a beautiful lady, so I thought maybe I could groom you into a nice trophy wife. But I didn't realize that your cheap habits will never go away." "In that case, why didn't you just leave, Ethan?" "I would have dumped you after having some fun, but then Grandfather ended up liking you. I wanted us to get married and have kids. I knew that if I had walked away, Grandpa would have been angry, and that's why I married you. Now that you have given me a grandson like I wanted, I have no use for you anymore." So that's why Ethan had married me. He married me because his grandfather wanted me as his granddaughter-in-law. Ethan was scared that Ace would pull his allowance and inheritance if he dumped me for no reason. So, to get into Ace's good graces, he married me. Now I knew why Ethan was pushing me to have a child. All he wanted out of me was an heir, so that Ace would leave him his fortune. I stupidly gave in, and now I am suffering the consequences. This was all a part of Ethan and Marie's twisted plans. Ethan never loved me, and had only wanted to use me for fun. The man I married was not my soulmate, he was a predator. I felt disgusted just looking at him. I said, "So, that's what this was all about? You just wanted your grandfather's fortune and did all this for that. You destroyed my life just to get on Ace's good side." "Who cares about your life, Cecily? As far as we're concerned, you have no relationship with us anymore." "I'm still the mother of your grandson, and am married to your son, Marie. You can't end relationships in one day." "We're already working on that, Cecily. You don't have to worry about it. Our best lawyers are working on your divorce and the termination of your rights to my grandson." "I will never let that happen, Marie. I don't care if Ethan divorces me, because all my love for him is already gone. I won't be with someone who doesn't love me. But if you think I will give up my child, you two are dead wrong." "What can you do, Cecily? We'll get the best lawyers and trap you very nicely. Don't worry, I'll even offer you some good money to get lost." "We will compensate you with what we think is reasonable. I suggest you just cooperate and do what we say. Otherwise, we will make your life a living disaster." Ethan and Cecily were actually threatening me now. My emotions were now shifting from heartbreak and hurt to just raging anger. I looked at both of them, who were looking back at me with smug expressions. Marie still had my newborn son in her arms, and I knew she wouldn't just give him back to me if I asked. I didn't want to fight her because I was weak, and she had more people on her side who would just drag me away before I could get my son. I didn't want to hurt my newborn in any way, so I refrained from trying to snatch him back. Instead, I calmly looked at them and said, "You two want me out of the house, right? Fine. I will leave. I will leave right now. But know this, I won't let you take my son away from me." "We will see what you can do, Cecily. Once you tell people or lawyers who you're dealing with, no one will be on your side." "I don't need to go to any lawyers for what I have planned, Marie. I promise you right now that you and Ethan will pay for what you have done to me today. This is not the end." "Oh, please, keep your ridiculous dialogues for someone else, Cecily. You can't touch a hair on our head. We will crush you any time we like. Also, there's no use going to Grandpa about this. Blood is thicker than water, and he will side with his family over anyone else. He always has." I didn't even bother to grace them with a reply. They simply didn't deserve one from me. I wasn't going to stand there and waste my time while Marie and Ethan made fun of me and threatened me. I don't threaten people, and it just wasn't in me to shout and yell at them. I was mentally and physically exhausted and worried about my child. I needed to preserve my energy to get back at them later. So I quietly collected my bags and left the house. Marie and Ethan actually followed me to make sure I had left for real. They didn't need to worry because I had no interest in staying around for their insults. My skin was already crawling with what they said. So I simply called an Uber and left. From the window, I could see Ethan and Marie hugging each other and giggling like it was the best day of their lives. They really did get what they wanted. They had an heir and also got rid of me like they had planned. However, what they didn't know was that I wasn't going to leave so easily. I wasn't giving up my son, and I definitely did want to teach them a lesson. They weren't wrong about some things, though. Ethan came from a wealthy family, which meant he had a lot of great lawyers. They will mess with my life, and somehow might be able to take away my child. Meanwhile, I don't even work anymore and don't have much money at my disposal, so my chances of getting a good lawyer and winning against them are slim to none. I knew that I needed someone's help if I wanted to come out on top, and Ace was my only option. I went straight to Ace's house with my stuff, and his staff let me in. I was a little nervous about approaching him because Ethan's words were ringing over my head too. It was true that Ace places a lot of importance on family and would always put his family above anyone else. There was this small fear at the back of my mind that Ace would turn me away in favor of his family. After all, I'm a nobody, like Marie and Ethan had said. Still, I considered Ace a fair man and hoped that he would do the right thing, and I wasn't wrong. Ace came to the living room and seemed surprised once he spotted me there. He said, "I thought my staff was joking with me when they said you showed up here with suitcases. I can see that they were serious." "Well, they certainly weren't joking. I'm here, Grandpa." "What is going on, Cecily? Have you been crying? Your eyes look puffy and you really don't look well." "They kicked me out of the house, Grandpa, and they also took my son and told me to get out of their lives." "What? Who did this? Tell me everything right now, Cecily." Ace looked really angry when I told him that I was kicked out. When he asked for details, I broke down crying and told him everything. After acting all strong and composed in front of Ethan and Marie, I just couldn't do it anymore. My life was falling apart right in front of my eyes, and everything I knew about my marriage was a lie. No matter what, I did love Ethan with all my heart, and what he did absolutely broke me from the inside. So I sat on Ace's couch, cried my heart out, and told him everything. He looked really concerned when I was crying, but I told him everything, and he was as mad as I was. I calmed down a little and said, "I came here because I didn't know where to go, Grandpa. You have always been nice to me, and I knew you would at least give me a temporary shelter." "You did the right thing by coming here, Cecily. You can stay here as long as you want. This is not a temporary shelter for you. This is also one of your homes." "I don't think I have a home anymore, Grandpa. I don't even care about it. I just want my son back. I can't be without him. I will leave Ethan like he wants me to, but I can't leave my son." "So, you have decided to leave Ethan? Is that what you want to do?" "I can't stay with him anymore, Grandpa. He showed me his true colors, and I know he is not the man I loved. Our entire marriage was a lie. I think I have lost all the love I had for him." "My grandson has messed up big time, Cecily. I don't know how to apologize to you for this. What he and my daughter have done is not okay. Actually, I too think it would be better for you to leave him." "I am willing to do that, Ace. But Ethan and Marie want me to terminate my rights to my kid. I don't want that, Ace. Please don't ask me to do that." I was really scared that Ace would also side with them on this matter. He didn't push me to stay with Ethan, which I was grateful for, but that wouldn't mean that he would allow me to take his great-grandson and move away. I don't think he would have liked that at all, so there was a possibility he would take their side in this matter. But what Ace said next absolutely surprised me. He said, "I will never ask you to give up my great-grandson, Cecily. You are his mother, and he needs you in his life. What he doesn't need is an evil father and grandmother like Ethan and Marie." Oh God, the things they have told you and what they have done to you are horrible. "I don't know what to do, Grandpa. They said that they would get the best lawyers to defend themselves and pressure me into giving up my rights. They even took away my child the moment I came back to the house." "My dear Cecily, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm here for you and my grandson. I will never separate a mother from her son. Ethan and Marie will pay for what they have done." "Really? You'll take my side over them, Grandpa? They're your family, and like they said, blood is thicker than water. You always put your family above everyone else. That's what I liked about you." "That's some nonsense, Cecily. If Ethan and Marie are my family, you and my grandson are too. Why do you think I gave you the permission to call me Grandpa over my name? It's because you are family to me. At the end of the day, I won't tolerate anyone being so cruel and vile, even if they are my own family. So, Marie and Ethan are going down, no matter what." Ace's kindness brought tears to my eyes, but in a good way. I was really lucky to call Ace my grandpa. He filled that little hole in my chest that was there because I never met my own grandparents. I will always be grateful to Ace for what he did for me. He was super mad and told me that he would make sure I got justice. He quickly called his staff and made a few phone calls here and there. All this while, his housekeeper was with me, giving me food and making sure I'm all right. Even an unknown woman was showing me more compassion than my own husband and mother-in-law. I hated myself for falling in love with a man like that. After a while, Ace came back to the living room and told me to come with him. When I got into the car, he told me what he had planned for Ethan and Marie. His plan was glorious, and I actually felt a little bad for what was about to come for them. Ethan and Marie's lives were about to blow up for the worst. They are really going to pay. Ace and I were going over to the house to do just that. I walked up to the house and the staff let me in because Ace was with me. Ethan and Marie came stomping down the stairs to see why I was there. However, they started to shake when they saw that I had walked in with Ace. It was probably due to the fact that Ace was sporting a very angry face that was enough to scare the life out of someone. Ethan and Marie nervously came down the stairs, but now with a fake pleasant expression on their face. It was a total failure because their nervousness was shining through anyway. They said, "Hi, Dad. What are you doing here? You should have called. We would have prepared lunch for you." "Do I look like I'm here for lunch, Marie? Why on earth did you kick out your daughter-in-law? And what am I hearing about taking away my great-grandson from her? There was also something mentioned about a divorce. Care to explain that, Ethan?" "I don't know what you're talking about, Grandpa. Cecily left out of her own accord. She said that she doesn't want to be a mom or wife anymore. We didn't do anything." "That's right, Dad. Cecily walked away on her own, and now she's spreading lies about us. I always knew she wasn't a good fit for the family, and now you know what kind of a horrible woman she is." So that's how they had planned to twist the narrative to make me the villain. I was so shocked that they came up with such a horrible plan. For a minute again, I thought that Ace would believe them. I think even Ethan and Marie thought that Ace would believe them. But they were left flabbergasted by what happened next. "Do you think I don't know what goes on in this house? Do you think you can manipulate me with lies?" "Dad, we're not lying to you." "Shut up right now. I don't want any filthy lies coming out of your mouth. Have you forgotten the fact that this house is in my name? The staff here are on my salary, so they tell me everything that happens around here." You know everything?" "Yes, I know everything that you two had tried to do. Did you really think I would let you two off the hook so easily after you manipulated me and Cecily? I can't believe this." "Grandpa, please, you have to understand. I don't love Cecily. I only married her to make you happy." "Oh, don't worry. I know all about how you had planned to use and discard Cecily, but only marry her because you didn't want to risk losing your inheritance. You think that was a noble thing to do, Ethan? Is that the values I taught you? Perhaps it was your good-for-nothing mother who made you this way." "Dad, I would never—" "Shut up, Marie. Did I give you permission to talk?" Marie and Ethan were now seriously scared, while Ace was still very, very angry. I was having a good time watching them being scolded by Ace. It was glorious to watch, but I knew it was just the start of the show. Ace continues to berate Ethan and Marie for a good 1 hour, to the extent that they were reduced to tears. He reminded them that they were both under his mercy because they lived on his money. When he was done, Ethan was literally on his knees begging for forgiveness while Marie was crying like a child. Ethan said, "I'm so sorry, Grandpa. I can see that I made a big mistake. I was just overwhelmed and made the wrong decision." Yes, we're sorry, Dad. We truly recognize our mistakes. We shouldn't have separated a mother from her child. Cecily can move back here if she wants to." Yes, she can come back and we'll welcome her back with open arms. I promise I will be a better husband too. I will work on myself. Things will go back to being perfect again. I don't think any of this is your decision to make. You two are no one to allow her back into the house because this house is mine. Plus, it's up to Cecily to decide if she wants to stay married to an imbecile like you, Ethan. What do you say, Cecily? Do you forgive them? Ace was looking at me like he wanted me to make a decision for him. I knew well enough that if I said no, there would be some dire consequences for my husband and mother-in-law. But I didn't want to say yes because I didn't want those two evil people in my life anymore. I knew that their remorse was only on the surface level, and God knows what they would do if I gave in again. So I calmly looked at Ace and said, "No, I don't think I can forgive them, Grandpa. Plus, they haven't even asked for my forgiveness." "I'm asking you for forgiveness right now, Cecily. Please forgive me." "Yeah, we made a huge mistake, dear. We are family, so let's just look past this one time. I'm sure we will have a stronger bond after this." Don't even bother with lies anymore, guys. You know what you two are. Even if you turn a new leaf and become nice to me, deep down, you two are awful people. And I don't associate myself with people like you. Good decision, Cecily. I applaud you for that. So, you heard her, Ethan, Marie. Looks like you two are in deep trouble now. You two need to vacate this house right now so that Cecily and my great-grandson can stay here. What? You're kicking us out? You can't do that to us, Dad. My staff has already started to pack your bags on my order. I will have you two thrown out just like you tried to throw out Cecily. Oh, one other thing. You can kiss your allowances goodbye. I won't be wasting any more money on imbeciles. Ethan and Marie absolutely cracked up when Ace made his decision. They begged and pleaded with him for mercy and even begged me for forgiveness. They knew then that only I had the power to sway Grandpa Ace from his decision. Ace was in a horrible mood and kept berating them no matter how much they begged for forgiveness. Ultimately, the house staff came down with their stuff, which Ace threw at them, and told them to get out. Seeing Ace so angry, they quickly left before he could publicly make a scene by having his staff escort them out. I don't know where Ethan and Marie went after this. What I do know is that they kept blowing up my phone with apologies and sometimes nasty messages. They desperately wanted to come home and make things better with Ace, but he was definitely not having it. They kept crying, pleading, among other things. They even tried to recruit family members who strictly denied them help because of Ace, so they were left to fend for themselves. Eventually, Ethan and I divorced and he lost custody of our son. I was happy because I didn't want his evil dad to raise him anyway. I was already living in the house I used to live in because Ace didn't want his great-grandson and me to be away from comfort. He actually ended up signing over the house to me. He's leaving most of his assets to my son in a trust so that he can access that when he's older. As for me, Ethan is stuck paying child support and alimony since he has a job. It's not much for me because Ace also gives me an allowance, but it is a lot for Ethan, who now has to support his mother and live on a small income.